So what's up, guys? We're back again today, and today I just want to talk about African descent movies. Now, this is probably more so a problem I feel like in the Western Hemisphere because back in the motherland, obviously all the movies are for the most part of people of African descent. But here, especially in America, I really feel that it's really time for us, and not that we haven't done it in the past, but on a higher level, on a high budget level, I've started to notice that most of the movies that people of African descent make in America either have to be comedy movies or love movies with mixed with drama or drama movies for them to sell or be successful. And hopefully that will change soon with Black Panther, which is one of my favorite Marvel comic. I mean, he is my favorite Marvel character, but he is like one of the ones with like Blade as far as people of African descent that I love the most. So the reason I said that we need to change this is because the thing that I don't like a lot is that we have so many people with so much resources, that they don't represent people of African descent, I think, in the most versatile light. I'm not going to say the best light, but I think the most versatile light, because just like they have Greek gods, we have African gods. We have West African gods, we have East African gods, we have gods all around Africa, right? North, South, whatever. And I think that we should be making our own movies to market to our own people rather than worrying about how much it's going to sell to everybody, right? Because the thing that irks me so much is that there's so many people of African descent that have all this money, and I understand that there's politics and things going along when you go into Hollywood and different parts, but there's so many people with so much money, and they could all put their money together and come together and band together and make a movie. Let's say, for instance, that there's, I don't know how many people of African descent in America that are millionaires or billionaires, right? But let's just say that there's 50 people that have more than $1 million, right? Which is very much realistic, right? There's way more than that, but let's say that if one person could put $1 million a piece, that'd be $50 million to produce a movie, right? Now, if a movie is, if a movie entails high graphics and high animation, yeah, it might be more than that budget, right? We're talking about the top of the top, right? It could be more than that budget, right? But for the most part, if you're making a movie about, African descent gods, or you're making a movie about, people of African descent as far as just different genres outside of comedy, outside of drama, and also outside of love, because we're way more versatile than that, then I think that we could create our own Hollywood. Now, I understand there's sort of a movement going down in Atlanta, with they're calling themselves the new Black Hollywood or whatever it might be. But for me, it's like, why do we even have to say that? Why do we even have to say Hollywood on the end of anything, right? Why do we have to say Nollywood? Why do we have to say that? Why can't we be our own people and produce our own thing and produce something better than that, or something that's the equivalent of that, but we don't have to call it that? So for me, I really think that it's time for all people of African descent to stand together, especially the people that are making a lot of money, because these images are projected every day. People don't understand how important these images are. Movies, TV shows, a lot of these things are what your kids see. So if your kids see that, or you see it, eventually you start to unconsciously think in the back of your mind, right? There's people that study these things. There's people that get paid a lot of money, right, in governments and private sectors and corporations, that they learn how to manipulate the mind. They learn how the mind works. Then they learn how to manipulate the mind with different colors, like red, or how they repeat things, or how they say 99 cents instead of $1 to make you want to buy it, because if it was $1 you might not want to buy it as much, but 99 cents seems more doable, even though it's one more penny. But it seems, it's all science. Everything in this universe is a science. So for me, I feel like we need to stop worrying about what they can't do for us, but the higher up people that have way more money than the common people of African descent like us, I feel like you really need to think about it, and you really need to look at yourself and say, look, we could all band together and not even blow our bank, right? And we can produce this movie in whatever images that we want to put out there. If we want to create a country that is like Wakanda, in the Black Panther, in the Marvel universe with Black Panther, where it's an African country that is the most powerful country in the world with the best technology, with a superhero, why do we have to wait for them to make that movie? That's our people. Why can't we make a movie about T'Challa and Wakanda, for example, right? Or why do we have to always wait to make movies about our history? Why can't we band together, and why can't we take our funds and go back to the motherland or Europe, wherever we're making the movie about, as far as the people of African descent that have money, and we band together and create these images for our kids? Because at the end of the day, if you have, I don't know anybody's financial status, but I know if you're making 50 to 60 million a year, even if you're making 10 million a year, $1 million to help your people, or to continue to make a area where there's a studios, right? We can add on to Nollywood. I wish they would change the name in Nigeria, right? Or we could add on to, whatever it is, right? Like, let's say in Atlanta, they call them the Black Hollywood, right? Where there's a lot of movies being produced now. Why do we have to call it Black Hollywood? Why can't we just call it what we want to call it and produce what we want to produce? Because to me, that's still projecting that Hollywood is the best, and we're copying them, and we need them. And yeah, for a long time, they've created movies and they had the technology and they were being very biased of what they were doing. But why do we have to be like them? Just because we use the same technology as them and maybe they were using it longer, doesn't mean that we have to be like them. We can create our own name for something, right? We can create our own thing called Sankofa Studios, or whatever it might be, right? Kushite Studios, or whatever the name is, right? Whatever the name would be of African descent, right? Whatever name it could be, right? Shango Studios, or Orisha Studios, or whatever. We can name it whatever we want, and I think it's time for us to start producing movies. Now, I'm going to eventually produce a movie myself. It's probably not going to be the most highest budget movie, but I'm going to produce movies, and that's something that's going to actually pop up at African Network at some point. So I am letting you guys know. I'm not saying it's going to be today. I'm not saying it's even going to be a year from now, but at some point, I am working on a lot of different projects. There's going to be some things that are going to pop up. Some might not be as high budget as possible, because I just don't have the funds for that, and I don't want to make anything that looks cheesy. But then I might actually still make it, because it's the message to me, and I feel like if you can convey it right, regardless of how low budget it is, people it will still come across as helpful. So I think this is a message in a vlog that I want to make for all the people of African descent that has millions and billions of dollars. Yo, I know that your hands are tied sometimes. Yo, I know that there's a lot of times where you might want to do this, but there's not a lot of group of people that want to do it. But yo, think about your heritage. Think about what you're going to leave behind. Think about all these images that our people need to see around the world, or even the knowledge that you could teach through these movies, that somebody might not pick up a book, but they might watch a movie, because that's the age that we're in, the digital age, or they might watch, or they might watch a TV show. So we have to think about all these things. We're more than just comedy, sports movies, drama movies, or love movies. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're very good at all of those, and those are needed, but there's way more than that. We have African gods we can make movies about, right? I know there's a lot of people that might be watching that are of different religions, right? Christian, Muslim, whatever you are, and that's okay. But we still have our heritage and our culture of who we are as far as African gods. Why can't we make the same movies of African gods as they make of Greek gods, right? They even still have, some of them have their religion where they're Christians or Muslim or Buddhist now, but they still believe in their history. So why don't we believe in our history, right? So for all the people that have money, why should we not come together and put our money together, right? Even if it's the common people, we can get something going to where it's like everybody puts $20 a week or a month, right? And we start a fund, and we make our own movies, and we produce it the way we want to produce it, to project who we are as a people. So I think it's time for us as African descent people to not necessarily keep dividing each other and being like, oh, well, this person might not want to make it, or this person might not want to make it. We need to agree on something worldwide or in one country, to where it's like, look, we have this big amount of money. We all need to stop, being controlled and worrying about if another person is either going to do this or not going to do this. And we need to just go make these movies, because we have a lot of history that we need movies made about. We have African kingdoms that no one's ever made a movie about. And actually, that's one of the movies that I'm working on. And I don't know if it's even possible, but there's a lot of ancient movies that, think about ancient Ethiopia, right? And Exam Empire, or think about ancient Empire of Ghana. Like, where are these movies at? These movies are huge movies. Where are these movies at? And I'm not even saying that I'm not going to produce any, but I'm just saying for anybody that watches this, whether you're a millionaire or not, where are these movies? Don't you think these movies would be amazing? I mean, when you see old, let's say you see new Chinese movies about the different dynasties. You see European movies about when Europeans were back in the Dark Ages, or when they were back in the Vikings, or the British era, when it was in the 1800s. Like, where are our movies for that? We need that. Our kids need to see these things, and we need to see these things. And we have enough money to produce these things, right? We always so stuck on slavery movies, or let's say, for instance, that this is what they want to project of us, so it's always slavery, slavery, slavery. Yes, slavery needs to be told, but we have so much more history than that. I want to see a movie about the Empire of Ghana. I want to see a movie about ancient Egypt depicted as us. Maybe when the Nubians were there, right? Or the Bija, whatever. I want to see this, right? I want to see ancient Somalia. I want to see the Kingdom of Congo. I want to see the Futajulan Empire. I want to see these things. I want to see the Songhai Empire. I want to see these things. And I also want to see more productive movies, right? I want to see movies about African Americans that are doctors, that are scientists, right? Where are all these movies at? There's not a lot of them. It always has to do with sports, or always has to do with a certain genre, and it never gets depicted as, there's been movies about African American doctors, but I feel like it needs to be more constant, right? There needs to be more positive energy than the stereotype that we always got to be funny, we always got to be basketball, or some kind of sports, or we always got to be drama movies or love movies. We need more movies about other things, right? Where's the Haitian movie, right? Where's the Haitian Revolution, the Maroon Revolution, where they overthrew, the slave masters? Where's that at? I don't know if you guys really want that to be out there, but that's something that we need to be producing. So that was my little vlog about that. I just think that we, as a people, need to be producing our own movies at a higher level, and the people that have the money to do this, they need to make this happen, because a lot of us common people, we don't have this money, but we want these things, but we don't have this money. So if you're a person that's higher up, you can make a lot of money, because your people are going to support you, because they want this kind of these kinds of movies, right? You might not be making billions of dollars or hundreds of millions, but you'll probably make your money back and a little bit more, and over time you will build this audience for a different kind of movie studios that's for us, and to project a different image and a good image to the world about us. So I just wanted to get that vlog out. As always,
what's up?
Hey.
Shalom.
What up?
Hi.
Africa.